Hi YouTube. I want to welcome you guys to my first official YouTube session. I'm just in my car with my little babies, and I'm actually waiting on my boyfriend, so I got time today. And I just wanted to do a little small reading on Nipsey. This is the first time that I've used my gift on this type of platform. I have been toying around with the idea of doing a video. I've been toying around with the idea of uploading it to YouTube, but something today just told me to go ahead and do it. And I was afraid for a while what people would think. Nobody knows that I've been kind of nobody knows that I've kind of been in tune with my gifts, that I've been studying my gifts, but I just thought today was the day that I would do my first reading, so let's get into it. I'm going to do a prayer first, and that prayer is just kind of me connecting my energy to Nipsey's and asking his permission to do this intuitive reading and give the information to the public. So I'm going to have a little small moment of silence while I do my prayer, and then I'll get right back with you guys. Okay, so first things first, the first thing that I'm picking up from Nip is he wants me to tell y'all that he love y'all. Like, his exact words are, I fuck with y'all. I fuck with y'all. That's exactly what he said. He said it's been tough. I'm assuming he's speaking in reference to London Lauren. That's the energy that I'm picking up. But he said it's been tough. He appreciates all of the prayers, everybody just building a cocoon around his family and supporting them. He wants me to shout out his brother Sam, let him know that he is proud of him, and that he also wants Sam to know that he loves him. He said, don't fold. He also said he's given me the impression that Sam's been dealing with some heavy depression since his passing, and he doesn't know if he's grieving properly. He said, in his words, he said, you ain't handling that shit right. You ain't handling that shit right. He said, you know we don't fold. Get your shit together, nigga. I love you. But get your shit together. Okay, so I have a few questions for Nip. I just wanted to throw out a few random messages that I felt he had. So let me just ask some of the questions that I had in my head for him. The first question is, I want to know how, and his energy is just so pure. It's so, when I reach for his aura, it gives me authenticity. It gives me light. It gives me good karma, good vibes. Just, it's like when you smoking a blunt, you know what I'm saying, and you get high and you feel that good energy, that good vibes. That's the energy that Nip brings with him. But I want to know, how do you feel about the custody battle that went on between Tanisha and the family? He said okay, so the energy that I'm getting from him is that a lot of this shit, won't even real. He's saying real in the sense of, I hear him saying she knew what it was. And I feel like this is in reference to Tanisha. She knew what it was. He said I ain't gonna put your business out there because that's still the mother of my child. But he said she knew what it was. He's giving me the vibe like they had an agreement when it came to Amani, and he said, hold on. And he said, let's be clear. He said, I've never kept my daughter away from her mother. He said, but I wanted her to be in a safe environment. And I felt like Tanisha wasn't providing that at the time. He said people be thinking that me and Tanisha was beefing, but I always have tried to put my baby mama on game and put her in a better position for Amani. He said there was a time when I loved her, and I still do, but it's been a while since we were like that, is what he's saying. He said her going on the internet, giving off the hint like we was still fucking around. He was like, that shit wasn't cool. Because she know that ain't true. He says that we were both young when we had Imani. I was still deep in the streets. But my daughter made me want to change that. And this music shit. I was 10 toes down into this music shit. But he says, but y'all could have kept that fame. I was doing it for my family and for my daughter. He said people be having shit twisted. It was never about the money. I was a hustler. I could have got that by any means. I didn't want Amani in the streets. My brother stayed on my ass. He ain't want me in the streets. But that's all I knew. And I rock with that shit. I was a Crip till the day I died. I lived, ate, and breathed that shit. It was my life. Before the music. He wants me to make that clear. He said it was my life before the music. But after the music came, he says I fell in love with that. He said a lot of y'all don't even know I wasn't confident in myself when I first started doing music. He said my brother couldn't believe that I wrote my rhymes. Like he didn't know I was that good. He said to this day, that gave me the motivation I needed to go hard in this shit. He said after that, it was a green light. It was a go. I wanted to make my brother proud. He said I wanted to take Tanisha with me. But she wasn't ready. He said, but she wasn't ready. She was still in the streets. Still doing street shit. On some hot shit. That's what he's saying. He said, I was tired of that. I was done with that shit. He says, once I caught my case, it slowed me down. He said, I wanted more for me and my brother. And I wanted him to want more. So I had to be the example. He says, and that fueled me. He said, Tanisha did me dirty. He said, Tanisha did me dirty in so many ways. And I did her dirty too. He says, but at the end of the day, we created Imani. And that was a beautiful thing to me. he said, I would have loved, he said, niggas, hold on. He said, niggas feel like I just wanted to run around with bitches. He says, but I wanted a family. I wanted to be with Tanisha. I wanted to, he says, my mom and pops didn't last. I wanted that for Amani. I wanted her to see love between her mother and her father. He says, but I wasn't willing to compromise her mental, it sounds like he's saying her mental health, to stay with her mother. He says I wasn't willing to compromise the shit that she saw or would have seen by staying with her mother. Okay. He says, I didn't want her to see the shit. I wasn't willing to sacrifice the shit she would have saw in order to stay with her mother. He says, hell yeah, I went back a few times here and there. He said because Tanisha was my first in a lot of ways. And I really loved her. He said, I wasn't sure if he says, I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave her alone. He said, he's saying that sometimes maybe him being him, he said, nah, fuck that. Quote me directly. He's saying him doing him may have made he says he can't lie. Him doing him might have been the cause of a lot of Tanisha's pain, a lot of the shit that he put her through. He said, but I was a young nigga and I was hustling, and he's saying that I fucked with her because she understood that. I fucked with her because she understood that I was a street nigga, and she wasn't nagging me, she wasn't pressuring me, she was in that street shit with me. And I felt like at the time that was what loyalty was, is what he's saying. He said, but I came to find out that I was wrong. That's not loyalty. He said that's toxic. That's toxic. And I had some questions for him, but I'm just letting him talk, y'all. He's got a lot to say. He said, damn right. He said people's been trying to tell what they feel like is my story or how I would have felt about this and that. But he said, can't nobody tell my motherfucking story like me. He said, to this day, I still love Tanisha, and I would never, he said, I would never disrespect her. He said, I would never have he said, I would have never done anything to slander her name. He said, that ain't even me. I just wanted what was best for Amani. He's saying, y'all don't know the shit that went on in my life. He's saying that Tanisha made shit hard for me when we first broke up. When I got into my relationship with Lauren, she was pissed. And we hadn't been together in a while. He's saying, I knew that she still had feelings for me. And he said, I can admit that at times I may have played on that. In the beginning, he said, let's be clear. In the beginning, when we first broke up, I may have played on the fact that she still had feelings for me. He said, but I was just being a nigga. I was just being a nigga. He said, when I met Lauren, he said she changed me. She changed me. He said, I started to see things differently. I started to want different things. We were on the same wavelength, he's saying. We didn't even have to try. It just came effortless. I'm sorry. He said that she accepted me for who I was and never tried to change me. She allowed me that space to grow as a man. He said, I fucked up, but she never downed me for it. She was patient with a nigga. That's what she was patient with a nigga. She taught me how to love because I thought I knew, but I didn't. That's what he said. I thought I knew how to love, but I didn't until I met her. He said that the love she showed my family was big for me. Her integrity, her morals, the things she stood for, that's what made me fall in love. He said her looks was just a plus. But if you know her, he said to know her is to love her, he's saying. He said you got to know her. He says she is so many layers to her. She dope as fuck. She dope as fuck. He's saying that he's saying that she was my lifeline. He's saying in the sense that she saved me from things I didn't even know were out to get me. She would talk that real shit to me and try to keep me level, because a nigga got a temper when I want to have one, he's saying. He said there were times when situations came up that I didn't always handle correctly. But as my woman, she knew how to handle it with grace. He said, and that's what I loved about her. She was classy, true to herself, didn't give a fuck. He said she wasn't beat for the fame, and that's what we had in common. He says that money and all of the things that I had meant so much to me in a period of my life. He said, but when I met her, I could have lost it all and still been happy. He said she was supportive, and I never had that before. He said she supported me in ways no other woman ever could have. She pushed me. He said that he says I would always tell her I love you, girl. My wifey. He says it fucked me up. He says nothing else fucked me up more than leaving my family. He said that's what I'm about. He said, and not just my blood family, whoever I fuck with. He says that I'm glad that my sister and Bug is. He says I see that they're leaning on each other. He said that don't surprise me. They always have. I get the sense that the sister and Tanisha didn't get along. He said, you know it. He says my sister is a different caliber of woman. She was raised under me. He says she don't go for the fuck shit. He says she don't go for the dumb shit. No, not for. He says she don't go for the dumb shit. She'll put you in your place. He said my sister's big on aura and energy. Her and Bug clicked immediately. He says my sister was. He says my sister is not that she disliked Tanisha, because she's not really the type to give a fuck about liking anybody. That's what I'm picking up that he's saying. He said, but she didn't respect her, is what he's saying. She didn't respect her. She didn't respect her as a woman, as a mother, but she respected me, and she loves Amani. So she kept a lot of shit to herself. He says, and Tanisha could feel that my sister didn't like her. So were there ever any issues between Lauren and Tanisha? Would be my next question. He's saying they're women. That's a given. Oh, really? He says that he said Tanisha is slick. He said Tanisha's slick, and she knows how to do slick shit. Is what he's saying. He's saying that she's the type to throw shade and then come crying to me, or do something to Bug and try to twist it around. He says, but I ain't gonna get too deep into it because I'm not no talking nigga. He said, but Lauren has never done nothing but show love, light, and positivity to my baby mama. He said her spirit is pure. She never came from a malicious place. But she wasn't having no bullshit either. He said Bug can defend herself. She can speak up for herself. Don't let the sweetness fool you. He says she'll fuck you up about her family. He says she was very protective of me. He said not jealous, just ain't play certain shit. And that's where her and Tanisha clashed. And I had no choice but to respect it. He's saying that Tanisha would say shit to him like, how you just going up and leave? And he said I couldn't respect. He says I couldn't respect that she had a man, but was still trying to fuck up my relationship. He said I ain't understand that shit. He's saying that I believe Lauren was the first serious relationship after splitting from his baby mama. I think he's saying that she didn't know how to handle it. She no longer had the same access to me, is what he's saying. He said, because Lauren is he's saying, I went through a lot of shit behind Tanisha in regards to his relationship with Lauren, he's saying. He's saying, but as a man, I never let it get out of control, because that's still the mother of my child, and that's still my girl, and they're still family, and we was trying to work that shit out. I think he's saying towards the end it was getting more peaceful. He says we were able to reach more common ground towards the end before my passing. He said, he's saying that he knows. He says, I know Bug is going to be all right. She's a fighter. She's strong. He said, known for holding shit down. He laughed. He said, I just want her to know that I couldn't have picked a better partner. I couldn't have picked a better woman, a better rider, a better lock to go through my shit with, to put up with my shit. He says, you were solid. He says, you were solid. He says, and you were solid from day one. He says, I respect you so much. He says, I love you. He says, you know I'm not an emotional nigga, but you brought that out of me. He says, you're so smart. You can get with me on any level. He says, I'm so proud of you. He says that she wonders sometimes if she's doing the right thing, if she's making the right decisions. And he says, you are. He says, I'm so proud of you. On some real shit. He said, I know you gonna hold it down for Cross and Imani. He says, I know the strength that you have, and I know the woman that you are. And I've always admired that about you. You're beautiful. And it's not physical. He says, I hear you. He says, you talk to me often. And I hear you. He says, don't grieve for me forever. He says, celebrate me, uplift me, elevate me, king me, but don't grieve me. He said the choices that I made led to the shit that I had to deal with in my life. He says, and I don't regret nothing. He said, I did what the fuck I wanted to do. I lived how I wanted to live. And I made that shit my own. He said, y'all showed the nigga so much love. And he says, and I felt it. He says, I felt it then, and I feel it now. He says, y'all rock with a nigga. Y'all fuck with a nigga. Y'all did it big for a nigga. That's all I asked for. I think he's saying that his death, he said it brought my mom and my pops back together. He said, in a way that they haven't been connected in years. He says, I like that. I'm happy about that. He says my brother is still trying to find his happiness. He's still trying to get back to his happiness. He said he know it ain't easy. He's saying, nigga, I'd be sick if the situation were reversed. If you had left me. He said, but you know, I'd hold it down. I'd pick that shit back up. He said the marathon don't stop. That shit continues. He said, I know you. He says, I know. He says, I know you're a fighter. He said, people don't know that you were my secret sauce. A nigga's secret weapon. He says, you amazing, bro. I don't know nobody like you. You can do anything. He says, you showed me so much shit. You put me on to so much game. I couldn't have done none of this shit without you, bro. You're the glue, he's saying. The glue that held all this shit together. He said, you badass. He says, I'm interested to see how you take this loss and boss up. He says, I love you. You make me proud. That's what he's saying. He's saying there's so much that people want to hear from me, that people want me to say. He said, but y'all know I ain't no tell everything nigga. I'm gonna address certain shit, but some shit better left unsaid. He said, I don't got no hate for nobody. He said that ain't even me. That ain't even how I operate. He said the basis of who I was just big homie. He said I wanted to uplift my people. I wanted to educate my people. He said, I'm talking to y'all now. He said, I love y'all. I just want the best for y'all. He said, we are amazing. We are royalty. He says, he says, I can leave he says, I left my life. I can leave this life behind. He says, because I know I gave it everything I had. He says that the things that I did to impact my community, the things that I did to impact other people, he said, that's my legacy. That's my mark. He said, that's all I wanted, was for people to remember what I stood for, if for nothing else. He said that gang shit, that was a small part of who I was, but it wasn't all of me. Well, I'm going to end the video right there, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Excuse my babinos in the background. All right. Subscribe, like, comment on this video. Let me know what you guys think.